Alright, so I'm back with another video, and I want to talk about the Lonzo Ball Chicago Bulls pairing and fit. But for the backdrop of this video, I want to mention a couple things, right? So within the last 2 days or so, we've had a couple NBA players, a coach, and if you count a radio analyst for the Chicago Bulls, we've had that too. um, Talk about Lonzo Ball, what he brings to the team, or to their team, or to the table. As far as the basketball players are concerned, let me discuss them first. So, Matt Barnes and Stack, Steven Jackson, they were talking about the potential free agents and where they could go. And basically, they brought when Lonzo's Ball name was mentioned, and it's like he's one of those guys that can fit on any team. Uh, he defends, he can shoot, he can play make, and they basically said he thinks he'll get the most out of Zach LaVine and the rest of the members of that team, and Zach doesn't have to play point guard anymore. I'm not going to get into the specifics of the Bulls' team and offense because I've not paid enough attention to them to know if Zach was playing point guard. I do have knowledge, though, that he did have the ball and he was running offense at some time. So do with that information what you will. Andre Iguodala was on JJ Redick's podcast. It was only for about 11 seconds, but he mentioned his favorite players in the league being Bi and Lonzo Ball. It's specifically at the 6:19 to 6:30 mark in the video. I also went to the video and left a little timestamp there, so if anybody's interested, you could definitely go find that video. So that's important because Iggy is still a current NBA player. Stack and Matt Barnes, well, I can't speak on Stack, but I know Matt Barnes has had at least a matchup with Lonzo since he's been in the league. So that's credible conversation, at least because that's players who have played. Now, George Carr was interesting because he put this out on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, you can go follow this. You just go look for George Karl's name, and he mentioned he needs to be in the backcourt next to Jamal Murray. He's a perfect fit. And he said he asked for Drew and CP3 last year, and they didn't do it. And so he's like, hey, go take that money you would have spent on, I guess, Will Barton or whatever, and go get Lonzo. George Karl is a winning coach. I believe on his own profile says he has 1,999 wins, pro wins on the NBA level. So he knows his game, and there isn't a coach or person who's going to say, hey, he isn't studied on basketball. So for him to come out and plead that case or say that means a lot because that means he values what Lonzo brings to the table. And he also addressed or commented on what he does for a team to one of the people that commented, which is nice. Normally you don't see a lot of these guys comment to the regular people like me, you, and everybody else. But to sit there and they ask, hey, what does he bring to the table and how can he help? And for him to break that down and explain it, I thought that was incredibly gracious of him. I, as a reader and a basketball fan, can appreciate his comments. Um, and then the other guy is Chuck Squirtsky, and I may have butchered his last name, but that's okay. This was on YouTube, and I went and was searching for Chicago Bulls because I wanted to hear what people were saying about the potential of Lonzo Ball being on that team. Chuck Swirsky is a radio announcer for the Chicago Bulls. which means he calls the games on the radio. So if you're tuning in, listening to the radio for Chicago Bulls, you will likely hear him. And he was talking about the Chicago Bulls in general and the potential of them getting Lonzo Ball. And he was asked about, Lonzo's fit and his what kind of player is he? And he said he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna remove teams from this." He said, "I'm taking the team aspect away from this." He said, "Lonzo Ball, if you look at him, he's a winning player. He's a player that elevates the team. He makes everyone around him a better player, more efficient player, and he makes winning plays." And he said, even if the Chicago Bulls don't get him, he said, whoever else gets them is going to get like an early Christmas present. They're going to be lucky to have him because he does so much for your team. He also went about discussing, Zach LaVine, uh, Kobe White, Patrick Williams, Vooch a little bit, um, Thaddeus Young. He was discussing some of these guys too. It's like a 17-minute video, um, which I thought was incredibly, informative because, he's watched them. He's had time to talk to these guys, so his opinion should carry some weight. And so he said some things that I thought were pretty profound and encouraging and everything else. So why are we having this conversation? Here's the thing. I like the Bulls, but I hate them. I hate the Bulls fit, not because they're a bad team. And to Chuck's point, one of the things he was talking about is Zach missed 11 games, I think, or the last 11 games of the season, so they missed the opportunity to be in a playing game. Otherwise, they were right there. I'd forgotten about that. That's an important factor in evaluating this team and how they should be viewed, even if they get Lonzo. They were on the cusp of the playing game but lost Zach LaVine. Here's my problem. Zach LaVine, good, but doesn't play defense. Vucevic, good, don't play defense. Brandon Ingram, good, don't play defense. Zion Williamson, good, don't play defense. You're leaving one situation where the star players don't play defense to another situation and where the star players don't play defense. Now, the more talented roster is the Bulls roster. They got a better defensive player than anybody else on the Pelicans in Patrick Williams. And if you want to include that Young too, we could do that as well. If Lonzo goes to this team, who's okay? Let's start here. Vooch is gonna get you double-digit rebounds. He's averaging like 10 a game. Okay, so he's gonna get double-digit rebounds. They can rebound by committee, but when I looked at their roster, their front court is like Patrick Williams 6'7", Thad Young 6'8". They don't really have anybody else other than Lauri Markkanen. And Lauri probably won't even be on this team because he wants 20 mil plus, and he thinks he's better than what the Bulls are allowing him to show. So, and it's not like he played defense either. So, and the rebounding aspect of the game too. He can shoot, but not consistently appears. So, who do you have on defense if you get Lonzo and Patrick? I mean, that's it. And you're still, that means 40% of your team ain't playing defense at all times. You still, they, Chuck said they needed to get another wing. I would agree. Even if they, keep Thaddeus Young somehow, they need another wing. Um, every team needs a wing, but they need another wing. And here's the thing: you're gonna get terrific offense from a pick and roll with Lonzo Vooch or Zach Vooch. Doesn't matter. Where's the shooting? This team lacks shooting too. I mean, yeah, I'm not Thomas Satter, no. Kobe White, no. And surprisingly, let me make this argument here. Kobe White, his stats ain't much better than Zoe's. Outside of the scoring, which he only has him by less than a point, it's like 0.9 points, if that. They're averaging basically the same amount of points a game. But Lonzo is giving you way more on defense, rebounding, and passing. Kobe White's got to come off the bench. He was taken sixth, though, if I'm not mistaken. He was either fifth or sixth in that draft. But he's going to be a high-quality role player off the bench? I mean, it works, but to me, that's kind of a waste of a pick if you're just going to get a glorified role player. I mean, like a Lou Will kind of role player to go get you 17, 18 off the bench. I'm not saying that Kobe White is capped right now. I'm not saying that. I'm not even trying to imply that. But this ain't even a competition. Lonzo is an upgrade. And Lonzo's trending up. And he was the third option on the team that didn't get plays ran for him. And quite frankly, he may or may not get plays ran for him on the Bulls. But he could still match Kobe's scoring with better shooting from range. And if he's improving on his mid-range and everything else and finishing, that's going to go up. Which, here's the other issue. If they're not going to play defense, they're going to have to make up for it on offense, right? If you're going to have to send Kobe White to the bench, which is fine, he helps on the bench, but you're going to have to get more scoring in the starting lineup. Now, they was using Thomas Satoransky at some points to start, and I guess that's okay, but he didn't really contribute like that to, the box score. He averaged 7 points per game this year, 4 assists, and granted, he didn't start every game, and minutes is flip flop, so there's not really consistency there. His career average is 7 points per game, I believe. So, Patrick Williams this year had 9 points per game. His offense is going to have to get better, and we expect a jump from him. But you're telling me the start lineup is essentially, if we're going to assume Lonzo is starting, 15, 27, because that's Zach, 9, 13, and 20. For all the problems we want to give the Pels starting lineup was 13, Bledsoe, 14 or 15. Let's just stick with 15 for Lonzo. 24, B.I. 26, Zion. And 8, Steven Adams. And I could be wrong. That could be 7 for Steven Adams. They only had one guy in single digits. One. Kobe White to the bench. It's 14-15. Can he average that off the bench? I'm sure. But, again, there's too many holes here. I don't see them making up enough offense alone. So, you can't just get Lonzo and he's going to fix the issues. You're going to need somebody else. Now, I seen on a couple places where people were saying they might get Rudy Gay. I'm not sure he fixes the issues. Um, you need a Rocco, a Robert Covington, and yeah, and people are probably gonna get tired of me saying it, but he's like, as far as a power forward, he's perfect for today's NBA. You need a guy like that, a DeAndre Hunter. You know, these are the guys that are perfect for today's NBA. But I'm struggling to see the rebounding aspect of the game because Thaddeus Young, if you want to include him in the starting lineup, he was 13-7, I believe 13.7 rebounds. If you're going to get rid of Thaddeus Young, are you telling me that Patrick Williams is going to get more touches? If so, he could get 13-7. He's going to get more minutes. But rebounding, I think is going to be an issue. 6'6" Lonzo, 6'7" Levine. Excuse me. 6'7" Patrick Williams. I thought he was bigger as far as height. He's 6'7". He's an inch taller than Lonzo as your forward. He's bigger, bulkier, but I don't know. That's not the play. You need some more size. Thaddeus Young is 6'8". And I'm not saying that he can't play power forward at 6'8", but you want some more size out there. And one of my things and one of my grievances with teams when it comes to Lonzo is like, bruh, or any big guard, what's the point of us having a tall guard if we're not going to place another tall guard next to him? And what's the point in having these tall guards if we're not going to even go big all the way and get like bigger small forward, bigger power forward, and big center? Like, to me, this is a game of size, lengths, and measurables, okay? If it's like, okay, this year we had Bledsoe basically as the point guard and Lonzo as the two guard, that makes sense, but Lonzo needed to touch the ball more. So really, you have Lonzo 6'6", and then you got like a 6-foot guy as your shooting guard. Most shooting guards in the league is 6'4", 6'5". Lonzo is bigger than most ones and twos. So you just gave up your size advantage. Whereas you could have Lonzo and Levine 6'6", 6'7". Huge, huge, huge backcourt. But now you're telling me we got 6'7", 6'8", and then 7 feet? No, 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 no. We need like a 6'9", a 6'10", and a 7-footer. So you got to actually deal with some length. Okay? So here's the other thing with that. Rebounds. Who's going to get rebounds for this team? Sure, Lonzo could go get some. You can go ask Zach to get some, but you're asking a lot. Patrick Williams, he probably could go get a couple. But you're not going to win on the boards with this team. Why am I bringing this up? Along, we ain't got into like the shooting aspect of it when really all you're shooting is Zach, Lonzo, and Vooch. You really can't trust too many other people with the shooting duties. They need shooting. Playoffs this year has been a tale of three things: defense, rebounding, turnovers. I mentioned the defense. I mentioned the reboundings. The fourth thing I could add is floor spacing, shooting. They're missing in three of the categories. The turnovers, I think Lonzo cleans up most of that. And if I remember correctly, I don't think they were a high turnover team. I could be wrong. But Lonzo alleviates a lot of that issue. Bruh. On paper, the Bulls roster looks nice. But in execution, here's the thing. I could be okay with them not having the best defense in the world. They just can't be bottom 20 to 30. They need to be like 15, 17 at worst. But if you're going to tell me that offense has to be top 5. And by top 5, I really mean like top 3. Because they're going to need to smoke everybody else on the court. Can they potentially do it? Yes. I trust Lonzo, and I damn sure trust Zach LaVine. I trust Vooch, and I trust Kobe White. Not quite sure on Patrick yet, but I think with Zoe, he'll definitely develop. And we don't really know who else is going to be on the team. In the closest situations of the game, you're going to want Vooch, who is not a rim protector. You're going to want Zach. He's got to play. Lonzo, he's got to play. Pat, he's got to play. I don't see this team stopping anyone in a close game. Could they go get points? Yeah. High pick and roll. Lonzo and Vooch. What are they going to do? If they run drop coverage, you give the ball to Vooch. Vooch knocks down a three. Same situation. They hedge. They hedge on Lonzo. Vooch can roll to the basket. Fine. What happens when you're playing the Bucks? You got Chris Middleton or Drew on Lonzo, and you got Giannis on Vooch. As we saw, Giannis can contain two people in a pick and roll. Drew can somewhat contain two people in a pick and roll. And if you want to put Chris Middleton there, he damn sure can too. That's not going to work. Let's take the ball out of Lonzo's hands and give it to Zach LaVine, who's a better one-on-one player. If I put them in that same situation, the same issue is going to happen. And so we're running into a situation where they can stop you, but you can't stop them. Who's going to guard Giannis? We don't even have to use that team, right? The Brooklyn Nets are going to be back. And they're going to have their big three healthy. They won't stop anybody. But they could definitely put up more points to you, and it's not even a question. Philly, even if they bring Ben Simmons back, pick and roll, you might say, well, Ben's afraid to go to the free throw line. I think after this year, he's not going to do that because he's going to get tired of hearing the noise. He's just going to attack you. Ben cannot be stopped by Lonzo or Zach LaVine or Pat Will or Thaddeus Young or Vucevic. He's going to kill them in pick and roll every fucking time. And Embiid, he's a big body. I think Vooch can guard him a little bit in the paint, but I think ultimately Embiid is way too strong. And Embiid can pretty much guard 1 through 5. With Tobias Harris as a third guy. I'm struggling to see in a 7-game series where they actually went out. And even if they trade Ben Simmons, because Ben Simmons is being linked to Minnesota, they'll likely get rid of D'Angelo Russell and or Anthony Edwards. If they get rid of D'Angelo Russell, you're telling me a pick and roll with Embiid and D'Angelo Russell? That means Lonzo is on pick and roll and Vooch is on the pick and roll. They have to communicate this heavily. Embiid has options, the same options, if not more options, because he's a better scorer. He's just a better player. Plus, he plays defense. He is going to hurt Vooch's scoring in a 7-game series. How do you stop that? D'Angelo Russell can score at all 3 levels, and he's a playmaker. He can essentially cancel out Lonzo. Embiid can more than cancel out freaking Vooch. And Tobias Harris, while he can't cancel out Zach LaVine, I think his extra scoring helps to mitigate that. And then they still have Seth Curry shooting and some of the other pieces that they have. Potentially, they could walk away with Anthony Edwards if they trade Ben Simmons too. And now you got to deal with that. Why am I saying all of this? These are the big 3 teams, the gatekeepers to the rings in the East. We ain't talking about the West. This team has so much more it has to do to be on a level to compete. And we could keep with the Pelicans and all this other stuff. They're not going anywhere either the way it's currently constructed. but neither is Chicago. So even if we assume that Zoe's going to improve and give us 17, 9, and like 6, that's not enough. You see what I'm saying? They still need more. And to get Lonzo, they're going to have to sacrifice a lot that they don't already have. And with what they have, they still didn't make the play-in game. So, what can we expect of the Bulls? They're going to have a decent offense. And I'm sorry, my son is in the other room cutting up, so y'all have to excuse him. He enjoys playing his games. The offense is going to be good. I'm telling me that Lonzo, Zach, and Vooch, they're going to be good. But I'm thinking about other things. If one of those guys get hurt, what's the ceiling on this team? If I lose Vooch for the season, for ankle injury, knee injury, something, tore ACL, Achilles, whatever, can Lonzo and Zach carry this team into the playoffs? Can they win us a playoff series together against some of these other teams that I mentioned? Washington is going to be back. Bill, Russ, LaMelo, and Charlotte are going to make moves because they're going to build around him. Miami, Toronto may make some noise. Pacers, who have my old coach Rick Carlisle, is going to make some noise. It's not going to be an easy out either way. No matter which way you try to go, it's not going to be an easy out. So what exactly are the Chicago Bulls going to be? I don't think they're going to be an 8th seed, probably a 9th or 10th seed. Now, this is in the now, assuming the only addition they get is Lonzo, and that they have to move off of Satoransky, I think Amino, and some of the other guys. I could very well be wrong in the next couple weeks about this if they go make some drastic changes and that team looks different. But the point is, as currently constructed, can they go in and beat the big dogs? No. Now, your expectation for this team is probably not for them to beat the big dogs. It's just get into the playoffs. If they get into the playoffs, you get Zach to resign. Bam. But Vooch is an older guy. He's like 29, 30 years old. He's not going to be a part of this core going forward. Not for many years. If he could play good at a high level, great. But he's not going to be a guy you can depend on in like 3 or 4 years from now. He's going to be on the decline. So your core of this team is really Zach, Zoe, Pat, White. That's it. And that's all really like front court players and Pat. You need forwards. You need wings, stretch wings. You need another center that you can groom. I can't say I'm loving the fit altogether with the Chicago Bulls. Can they have a winning record? Absolutely. But I want to see Lonzo in the playoffs, man. Can we be real? It's long overdue. We need to see our boy in the playoffs. I don't want to talk about the other teams right now, like New York and the Clippers. But man, they got their work cut out for them. By the way, Atlanta and the Knicks will likely be in the playoffs. Are they going to beat those teams? Is Zach and Lonzo going to be Trey, Cam, Hunter, maybe John Collins, they bring him back, and Clint Capella? No. Even with Vooch, the answer is no. They got too much shooting. The Knicks, unless they get Colin Sexton, CP3, or one of these other high-profile point guards, I don't see that. Most of their guys are going to get better. Quigley, Obi Toppin, if he's still there, they may use him to trade for somebody else. I don't know. Maybe ship him out to Cleveland for Colin Sexton and Kevin Knox or something. I don't know. But the point is, this is not going to be a cakewalk. He may go get his numbers. He may go get 17, 8, 9, 18, whatever, however the fuck y'all want to phrase his numbers going to be. But the path to the playoffs and success. See, and we've talked about this even when he got to LA. Lonzo is not going to be measured by stats, but by wins. Let's be real. He ain't won shit since being in the league. We can talk about injuries and all this other shit. You are not a winner until you win. Devin Booker had a bad narrative about him until now when we see in the playoffs he is that dude. To change things, you have to get into the playoffs. And you have to get wins to get into the playoffs. I would love for Chicago to work, but I need to see what else they're going to do because Lonzo and Zach, very nice backcourt, but that ain't going to be enough in the East. The East is too good. I don't know why my Google Home did that. Anyways, y'all have a good one. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.